Hello, it's Dawn Michelle and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do a fun, proper unboxing video where I'm going to share with you the Earth, Moon, and Shadow Oracle, and this is the special edition box set. So I'm super excited to share this with you today. I've kind of pulled all of the content out of the box. It did arrive all beautifully packaged. There's a few other unboxing videos where you can see kind of how it arrived, but really it's about what's inside, right? So let's go ahead and jump into that. So we have a few little extra cards. We have this wonderful sort of little thank you card from the creator that talks about the deck and sharing it. And then we also have a note about an upcoming Kickstarter, which is the Wisdom of Pooh Tarot. And I have to tell you, like, I'm super interested in this one as well. So let's go ahead and jump into all the beautiful goodies. Just to let you know, the special edition is available on the creator's website. It retails currently at $155. You can also purchase the standard edition, which is the deck and guidebook, which we'll take a look at here in a moment, for $72. And I have a coupon code in the description box below for you. We're gonna go through the little extra things that come with it first, and then we're gonna dive into the deck and guidebook. As always, there will be timestamps as well as links in the description box below for you. So it came with a couple of extra goodies. We have a beautiful little crystal here. I think this is selenite. This came in this lovely little bag. We have a beautiful little gift here, which I do believe is candles. So we have a gorgeous white and black candle. The black one is the Shadow Seeker candle, and the white one is the Heal and Protect candle. I love that. And these are soy and beeswax blended candles. I have to say, they smell amazing. We have a beautiful herbal blend, and that's really lovely. Again, everything smells divine. The special edition also comes with a little extra bag, and I do believe this bag is also available for purchase on the website as well. So with all the little extras done, let's go ahead and jump into the deck and guidebook. I mean, it is just gorgeously packaged. I love this with the wax seal on there. I'm gonna try to take it off carefully so as not to ruin anything. So here we have the beautiful deck and guidebook. We're gonna take a look at the guidebook here in a moment, but first I wanna take a moment to look at these beautiful cards. So the box is a beautiful two-piece box, gorgeous little details here. We have a couple of samples of the cards on the back, and it says 48 Oracle cards and guidebook, a deck designed to explore the dark crevices of the shadow self with compassion and purpose. So this is definitely a deck that is kind of geared toward shadow work, but I find that I can use these decks for all kinds of things as well. I do believe this comes also with 4 spread cards. So we have the Shadow Revealed spread, the Attachment spread, Working with Difficult Shadows, and Shadow Integration, which is really lovely. I really enjoy when we have some spreads designed specifically for the deck itself. So here we have my certificate of authenticity, and I have deck 5 of 750. So here we have the back of the cards, which are absolutely beautiful, and they are reversible. That's not really super important to me with an Oracle deck, but it is nice to note if you do happen to read reversals. And this deck, right, wants to be edged in black, I'm thinking that is gonna have to happen because this is an absolutely stunning deck. And when the creator reached out to me, of course, as I probably forgot to mention in the beginning of the video, like all transparency, this deck was sent for me for review. When the creator reached out to me and I saw this artwork, I was just blown away. So I am super excited to share this because this artwork is just absolutely amazing. So we're gonna just flip through each card, take a look at the message on it, and look at the beautiful artwork. So we have As Above, So Below, Duality, Balance, and Flow. I love Oracle decks with keywords. We have Autumn Winds with New Paths, Changes, and Unseen Forces. Awakening with Epiphany, Enlightenment, and Higher Calling. Bleeding Heart, Rawness, Vulnerability, Compassion. Blood Moon, Beginnings, Endings, Clean Slates. Blue Moon, Opportunities, Divine Power, and Clarity. Cold Moon, Stillness, Abundance, Withdraw. Death Valley, Emptiness, Hopelessness, Challenges. Earthing, Grounding, Centering, Connection. Eye of Odin, Sacrifice, Knowledge, New Perspective. Hidden paths with awareness, mindfulness, self-mastery. Inner guardian, protection, defense, refuge. Karmic web, troubles, misfortune, amends. Kindred spirits, rewilding, true nature, self-love. I love that rewilding keyword. I think that's wonderful. Luna, manifestations, visions, attraction. Lunar eclipse with spiritual changes, internal evolution. Memory and mind, guidance, analysis, application. Mischief and mayhem, freedom, surrender, abandon. Ocean tides, individuality, strength, formlessness. Phases of the moon, impermanence, enlightenment, cycles. Poisons and toxins, fear, negative thoughts, self-loathing. Predator and prey, chasing, grasping, obsession. Prophecies, revelation, insight, messages. Raven and wolf, symbiosis, combined effort, alliance. Rising sun, hope, courage, optimism. Sacred law, rituals, boundaries, practice. Sacred mountain, ancestors, endurance, resilience. Setting sun, depression, habits, suffering. Shadow and light, demons, shadow self, integration. Snow moon, rest, recovery, planning. Spirit and matter, paradox between realms, equilibrium. Spring rain, cleansing, renewal, metamorphosis. Summer fire, passion, creativity, desire. The chameleon, adaptability, shape-shifting, conformity. The hatchling, innocence, inner child, curiosity. The lotus, the past, transcendence, evolution. The nest, spiritual hearth, comfort, well-being. The pathfinder, intelligence, keen insight, premonition. The scavenger, desperation, scarcity, wanting. The white oak, healing, versatility, endurance. The witching hour, spirit work, mystery, the unknown. Third eye blind, ignoring intuition, self-doubt. Thunder and lightning, painful realization, inner conflict. Treachery, betrayal, mistrust, deception. Underworld, the shadow realm, reincarnation. Winding roots, ancestral connection, earthly wisdom. Winter's bone, reflection, transformation, rebirth. Wolf moon, restoration, incubation, growth. Those are stunning. And the whole time I was flipping through this, there are decks that I want to get out and pair with this, because this deck, not only is the artwork stunning, but the keywords and the key phrases are really wonderful. They're very unique, and I really enjoy an oracle deck that does something different than anything else that I have in my collection. So real quick before we jump into the guidebook and do some pairings, let's talk a little bit about the cardstock. It is 400 GSM on 100% recycled white core, beautiful matte cardstock, and the size is amazing. I love it. It is, let me see if I can find a traditional tarot deck here. So I have the Tree Spirit Tarot here, which is a fairly traditional sized tarot. So it's a little bit wider and just a little bit shorter, which is a great size for me. And I'll show you compared to an oracle. So here we have an Urban Crow Oracle card, and this is a pretty standard oracle size. So you can see compared to that, it is quite a bit smaller. So for me, this is like those smaller decks are really perfect size for me. The cardstock is beautiful matte. It's not rose petals, so it doesn't feel like there's going to be a lot of sticking. Again, it's a great size. Let's go ahead and give it a shuffle, because I definitely want to pair it with some decks. Oh, look at that. It absolutely shuffles beautifully. It's the perfect size for me to get my hands around. I can riffle and bridge it back, and you know how much I appreciate a deck that is a good shuffle. So I'll riffle it, and of course I can overhand it beautifully. I'm not getting really any sticking or anything like that. So it's a gorgeous, gorgeous cardstock. Okay, before we do some pairings and talk about working with it with some tarot, I want to jump into the guidebook really quick just to take a quick peek at it. So one of the things I want to note is that the cards are listed in alphabetical order. Thank you very much, with page numbers. That's great. It makes it really easy to find what you're looking for. We have the acknowledgements. There is a little bit about working with this deck, specifically about doing shadow work, because that can be a little bit of a challenging work for people to do. And she also has some trigger warnings about personal stories that you may find in this book. So it's very, very thoughtful. The creators really put a lot of thought and energy into this particular deck. We have a little bit about the introduction. So kind of what is shadow work? If you are completely new to this idea of shadow work or the practice, this might be a really good place to start out, because we have some very basic information. We have a little bit about working with the oracle, some prep work. If you want to do some cleansing and grounding, which is fantastic. There is information again about those trigger and transformation cards and how to work with those. And then we have those spreads that were also on the card. So the shadow reveal, the attachment, and I like that she has them in the book as well. And then we go into the card. So we have the title, the keywords, there's a quote, we have a little black and white thumbnail, and then about the card. And it looks like we have roughly 2 pages for each one. And I love that setup. I think that works really well. We get just enough to kind of get us keyed into what we're doing with the cards. And then some of the author's commentary on witchcraft and a glossary, which is much appreciated. While I was flipping through this deck, there were a couple of tarot decks that immediately jumped to the forefront of my mind as being a perfect companion to working with this oracle deck. However, I don't want to discount this oracle as a deck that could stand alone and be used solely by itself for a particular work. So I thought we would have a little bit of a play today. I'm going to do the shadow revealed spread, and I'm just going to use the oracle deck because I really want to see how it functions on its own before I start mixing in tarot with it. Although I do tend to really love working with decks like this alongside tarot, but I do want to show how this deck and see how it reads all on its own. So we're going to give the cards a little shuffle, and we're going to pull for 3 positions using the shadow revealed spread that came with the deck. That spread is also in the guidebook as well. So let's go ahead and pull our card for position 1, and I will lay them face down. So this is what shadow am I hiding from myself? Nothing like doing some shadow work right on camera. What from my past created this shadow? And how can I best work with this shadow? Now again, I could say we're gonna do a pretend reading, a practice reading, but it never works out that way, so we're not even gonna pretend. But this will give us an opportunity to see how the deck works and to see what the messages are in the guidebook. Okay, so let's start with card 1, which is what shadow am I hiding from myself? And I got the Eye of Odin, sacrifice, knowledge, and new perspective. So let's go ahead and get into the guidebook. So what shadow am I hiding from myself? We have a quote from Neil Gaiman, which is just awesome. It says, Odin's eye remains in myriads well, seeing nothing, seeing everything. I love that. Odin's never-ending quest for wisdom meant that he was willing to pay any price to understand the great mysteries of the universe. His quest led him to the well of Mir, whose waters were known to impart wisdom from the cosmos. Drinking the waters of such divine knowledge, however, fetched a high price and required Odin to pay with one of his own eyes. Odin's desire for such enlightenment ultimately trumped any fear he held, and without hesitation, he gouged out his eye and dropped it into the well. When the Eye of Odin card is revealed in a reading, it is calling us to sacrifice our earthly view in exchange for enlightenment and divine insight. We must meditate on removing the limited lens through which we view the perceived worth of earthly possessions. Are we willing to make the sacrifice of the material for the spiritual? As with Odin, we must remove the eye of limited earthly perceptions if we are to gain the eye of divine perspective. Wow, that's powerful, right? Let's look at position number 2. What from my past created this shadow? And we have thunder and lightning, painful realization and inner conflict. I'm just gonna go ahead and put it over here so we can see them all. Thunder and lightning has a quote from H.W. Longfellow, "Into every life a little rain must fall." The simple but eloquent quote by Longfellow is basically an analogy to explain that bad things happen to everyone. However, when the thunder rolls and the lightning strikes, it may be time to take cover. Thunder and lightning are warnings of a major storm brewing. Lightning on its own can be very destructive, and thunder can be so fierce that it has the power to shake the earth so violently it can set off car alarms. When thunder and lightning reveals itself in a spread, trouble is brewing within. Emotions are high after a revelation has struck down with a mighty force that has unraveled what we thought to be true. Typically, this comes with the discovery that a person or situation was not what we thought it was. A deep truth has been brought to the surface, and we can no longer, in good faith, continue moving down this path with the knowledge we now have. While this new realization may be painful, it is necessary for our growth and will save us from a worse fate down the road. Deep down, we already know this to be true. When thunder and lightning strikes, it's time to show ourselves compassion and give ourselves room to grieve. Be angry and just allow ourselves to feel whatever emotions arise. With no judgments and with loving kindness for ourselves, we must pause, lick our wounds, and reassess where we are. Then we must gather the wisdom and strength we've gained from this experience and let that shit go. I love that. Okay, so card number 3 is how can I best work with this shadow? And we got ocean tides, or I got ocean tides, individuality, strength, and formlessness. I love the ocean, it is my favorite place to be. So our quote is by Serafina, the creator of the deck. "Anyone who dares venture to sail the vastness of our waters must do so with humility and respect for our formless, mysterious, and wild nature." The mystery and power of the ocean's tides surpass any other body of water that exists on Earth. We as humans have tried for millennia to get the ocean to bend to our will with devastating consequences. History has repeatedly proven that the ocean yields to no one. The ocean is vast and without form and can be either a calm, peaceful companion or a fierce and unpredictable foe. Even with modern technology that currently exists, we are still completely at its mercy whenever we dare to venture into the volatile sea. From rogue waves that reach skyscraper heights to the still serene waters that are seemingly endless in every direction, the ocean is a fickle beast that only takes direction from Luna herself. Steadfast, relentless, and never wavering, the ocean is unapologetic for being the formless, formidable force that it is. When the ocean tides are present in a reading, it guides us to embody the strength and power of the ocean to stay true to ourselves. We are being reminded that we shall not bend to the will of others in order to conform to what they perceive we should be. We are a vast, powerful entity that ebbs and flows with the energies of the earth, the moon, and anyone who dares venture to sail the vastness of our waters must do so with humility and respect for our formless, mysterious, and wild nature. That is beautiful. So how can I work with this shadow? Be myself. That's always good advice. Okay, so that was fun. I really enjoyed kind of taking a look at the deck and using it as a standalone deck, doing that shadow revealed spread. But now I want to take a moment and kind of play with it with some tarot decks. So the first deck that popped right into mind as soon as I was looking at these beautiful cards in the Earth, Moon, and Shadow Oracle is my Pythonic Tarot. Now this is a fairly new deck in my collection and I have been working with it a ton, but I just feel like these two energies in these two decks, as well as the artwork, will beautifully align. So we're just gonna do a little flip through just to kind of see how the energies of these two decks play together and to see what messages kind of come out just as we're going through them. So we have Poisons and Toxins between the Eight of Chalices and the Ace of Wands. I feel like the artwork, the colors, the energy in these two decks is super compatible. So we have Winding Roots with Two of Blades and the Nine of Crystals. Raven and Wolf between Death and the Six of Crystals. That's quite interesting. Earthing between the Ten of Wands and the Star. Lunar Eclipse between the Eight of Crystals and the Five of Wands. Sacred Mountain between the Sorceress and the High Priestess. That is super cool. The Sacred Mountains, Ancestors, Endurance, and Resilience with our Magician and our High Priestess. That is quite beautiful. You can see how like aesthetically these decks go together really well, but I feel like it's also the energy of these two decks that would also quite align. The Earth, Moon, and Shadow Oracle is, as the name says, meant to kind of dive into the shadow realm. The Pythonic Tarot also, it resonates with a lot of Hecate energy for me, which is definitely about going into the shadow, going into the darkness. Again, shadow not always meaning not meaning bad, but shadow just dark, what's unseen, what's unknown. And for me, this deck really, really connects with that energy. And I feel like it goes beautifully with the Earth, Moon, and Shadow Oracle. Those two energies really, really align. That's gorgeous. There's my ocean tides between our two aces, the Ace of Crystals and the Ace of Chalices. So this time I actually have two decks that I'm going to share with you. I have the Book of Shadows Tarot. This is the box set by Barbara Moore, and it contains the Book of Shadows Volume 1 As Above, which I have here, and Volume 2 So Below. So one of the things that I thought would be really interesting in doing this combination together is we have the Earth, Moon, and Shadow Oracle in the middle, again serving as that beautiful focal point. And then we have the As Above and the So Below. So for me, that's kind of the idea of tying in those two energies, tying in the spiritual with the mundane world. And I think that these are gonna work beautifully together. So Underworld, Elemental of Air, Knave of Pentacles. Again, I feel like the artwork is really compatible, but I feel like it's more of those energies that feel like they really align together. And I think that you could use this to do a really wonderful reading with looking at kind of the shadow energy from both aspects, the as above, so in that spiritual realm, as well as the as below in that mundane everyday life realm. I think that's really cool, and I love these two decks together. They are very new to my collection. I just picked them up at our tarot meetup at the Northwest Tarot Symposium, so I haven't had them very long, but I have really been enjoying playing with them, getting to know them, and I do feel like, whoops, I do feel like they work together really well, and I love adding the Oracle with the Earth, Moon, and Shadow in there as providing that focal point. All the decks I think really blend together really well and really offer that beautiful, deep spiritual message. And I feel like there's a lot of work that can be done there, just not only just in shadow work, right? Shadow work doesn't always have to be this deep, dark thing that we do. We can use a lot of those same ideas, those same keywords, those same thoughts to explore other various aspects of our life. Maybe places where we're not necessarily in the deep dark trying to mine all the terrible, hurtful things out of our lives, but we're just looking at maybe where we haven't brought any light into the situation. So these can be things that we're just not really aware of at the moment, and we just need to bring a little bit of that awareness to it. So I feel like these three decks together actually work really well for that and really kind of create that bridge here with the Earth, Moon, and Shadow from the above to the below. So what's that bridge in between the spiritual to the mundane? What helps us, or what can we bring together to connect those two realms? And I think that's going to work really, really beautifully. The next deck that kind of came to mind for that sort of opposite energy, not into the shadow, but into the light, is the Tarot of Strange Branches, I think is the name of this deck. It is very new, as in like I just got it this week, so it is still completely in order and I haven't worked with it at all. So I thought we'll give it a shuffle and put it through its paces here, because I feel like this is going to be a really nice balance between the light and the shadow. Try to shuffle this monster of a deck. I did half it in order to give it a good riffle shuffle. And now I'm going to just actually split the deck in half, and then we're just gonna work with this half here. This is I believe a French deck, so all of the titles are in a different language, but most of the time we can figure out what's going on in the cards. So what I was thinking with this combination, and there is some shadow to the strange branches, or antlers, one of those. I feel like these two decks together would really bring out the kind of light and shadow energy. So we can look at where that we're finding that shadow energy and look to the tarot to see where we can bring some light to that. And that was kind of the idea behind pairing these two decks together, letting the Earth, Moon, and Shadow provide that area or that focal point for what we need to bring into illumination, and then let the Strange Antlers or Branches Tarot give us that fuller message of where can we incorporate that into our lives. I feel like even though the art style is different, I do feel like they are very compatible in their aesthetically speaking, but really what I'm looking at more is those kind of light and shadow messages, bringing in that energy, kind of looking at where do we need to bring some light into the shadow. And I think that's going to be a beautiful thing to play with. Again, the tarot deck is very, very new to my collection, as in it just got here this week. So I really haven't had any time to really play with it or to get to know it yet. So this is a completely new sort of experience for me as well. But I do feel like it brings a lot of light to the Earth, Moon, and Shadow Oracle, and kind of gives us a little bit more of that expanded message where we can look at where in our lives we can incorporate this information. So we'll just flip through a couple more because I think these are really beautiful together. And this is definitely a pairing that I would like to play with a little bit more. Okay, so let's come back to, because now I want to try doing a reading with the Oracle deck, the Earth, Moon, and Shadow Oracle, as our focal point. And I am going to use the Pythonic Tarot because I just feel like these two decks are feeling like they are meant to go together. So let's go ahead and pull a focus card from the Earth, Moon, and Shadow Oracle. And we've got treachery, betrayal, mistrust, and deception. So that's really interesting. I'm going to put that in the center here. I may pull some more cards from this. We shall see. I tend to kind of like to let things evolve as it feels natural. So I want to know, where in my life am I maybe experiencing some treachery, some betrayal, some mistrust, and some deception? Those are really big, powerful keywords. And again, I'm going to say we'll do a practice reading, but it won't be because the cards never lie. So we have the Knight of Wands, the Knight of Blades, all of those messenger cards, right? I'm going to move them up because I'm feeling like I need more cards. The Seven of Chalices and Death. So I can look at this and like, this is a lot to dive into in terms of right where I might be feeling some betrayal, mistrust, and deception, or right where I might be experiencing that. We have Knights. So for me, the Knights are kind of like the messengers of their suit. We have the Knight of Wands. He's kind of taking that fiery energy and putting it out there. And let me move that up. Can you see it better now? So we've got the Knight of Blades here, which is that messenger of the mind. So what I'm actually picking up here is not so much treachery, but I'm keying into those sort of mistrust keyword here with these messengers, like maybe mistrust in some of the messages that I'm receiving, or maybe messages that I am myself putting out there. This is a really heavy reading. We've got the Seven of Chalices, where we can see like all the cups are actually kind of like tipping downward on the head of this person. So there's a sense there based on the artwork of feeling maybe a little bit like overwhelmed, maybe drowning in some of the emotional energies that are going on. It's really interesting that we have Wand, Sword, and Chalice. What is missing is the Pentacles. So we're missing that mundane, earthy, kind of grounded energy. This feels very like up in the air, very much in that creative mind space. This reading to me is feeling very much like self-betrayal, self-mistrust, rather than an outward aspect of it. So I don't feel so much like somebody is betraying me, or that there's mistrust or deception in like my relationships or anything. What I'm getting with this is like, I have some mistrust of myself, and maybe I'm not acknowledging things in the way that I should be. Maybe I'm feeling a little bit even emotionally overwhelmed by this situation. And the Death card, I love the Death card down here because it's telling me like this needs to end, right? In order to get out of this sort of betrayal, mistrust, deception kind of energy, this maybe personal treachery kind of energy, like I need to put an end to it. It needs to end. And so we can take a look at that. And that's like a really, really heavy reading. So if we're doing something like this, where we're working with a shadow energy deck, or we're working with decks like both of these that are very dark, into the unseen, into the unrealized, into the untapped, potential of things, or maybe we're looking at some issues that we might be struggling with, like this can be really, really heavy. So a lot of times I like to pull in a little bit more of a let's call it an affirmation deck, something with a little bit of hope and positivity to pull away from this. The deck that I'm actually thinking about pairing it with here is the Sacred Rebels. So I'm gonna pull in yet another oracle deck, and I wanna share, kind of look at maybe what can I do with this, right? Okay, so I have this kind of sense of self-mistrust happening right now, maybe in the things that I'm creating, maybe in the thoughts that I'm having. I'm feeling a little bit like emotionally overwhelmed by it all, and I know it needs to come to an end. But maybe I don't necessarily know exactly where this is for me, or exactly what this is talking about. So I can pull a couple oracle cards to kind of help me gain some clarity on this. I'm actually gonna pull two from the Sacred Rebels Oracle. I'm gonna pull one to kind of help direct me, hopefully, where this is showing up for me in my life. And I'm gonna pull another one for kind of a takeaway. So what do I need to take away from this experience? Where can I put something into action? So let's pull a Sacred Rebel. What is already within you? So this is definitely as a card of where is this happening in my life? This definitely reaffirms that this is an internal thing I'm experiencing. So it's not treachery, betrayal, mistrust, deception outside of myself. It's within me, right? I mean, it's already within me, but I can see here in this card, like the potential to release that with that death card is also within me. So let's go ahead and shuffle again. Now let's get a message for what can we do with it. And I know I'm using a lot of cards and not using multiples of the Earth, Moon, and Shadow, but I feel like in an oracle deck like that, there's a lot of weight in that one card. And I don't feel like I necessarily need additional cards to really dive into that message. I feel like that the weight of that card stands on its own, if that makes sense. It's not a deck that I feel like I need a lot of cards for. But again, this is just really my first impressions and my first experience reading with this deck. So let's pull another Sacred Rebel to see. Collaborative dreaming. So that is maybe where I need to start putting this effort in. I feel like this is telling me that, like, if I were to share some of this, right? And if I were to maybe work with others to work through these energies, as well as maybe do some collaborative projects, things like that, to kind of get me out of my own space and moving into maybe something that feels a little bit more in balance for me. I think that's really wonderful. But look how cool this reading is together. And yes, it is deep. It is kind of dark. It is definitely like there's shadow stuff going on there. But it's also stuff that can be very, a little bit more kind of on the superficial side in a sense, because where I'm looking at this really heavy thing of treachery with this betrayal, mistrust, deception, right? We're looking at this really, really heavy energy with this particular card. I'm looking at where can I apply that and how can I do something productive with it? Because even though this is a super heavy card and there's a lot of weight in it, and there's a lot of weight and energy in the tarot around it, I definitely feel like there's actionable things I can do here, right? It's not all just here's doom and gloom and shadow and you need to work on your crap, right? There's stuff I can do. There's action I can take, steps I can take to work through this. This helps me understand what's going on, where the issue is, and this is helping me to figure out what I need to do about it. So I think that's really, really cool. So there we have it, a look at the absolutely stunning artwork and gorgeous messages of the Earth, Moon, and Shadow Oracle. I had a chance to play with it with a couple of decks, do a couple of readings as you saw. I'm definitely looking forward to working with this one more. I will probably pair it up with my Pythonic Tarot for a while. I feel like those two really, really resonate together. I feel like it worked really, really well with the Sacred Rebels as well to add that additional oracle level. But it is a deck that I feel like can stand alone. And it's also a deck that I feel like you could use for journal prompts as well. You know, stepping away from getting too much into the tarot and adding too many layers to it, just focusing on the single card, the single image, the single message, getting into the guidebook, seeing what the creator has to say in there, and then really just taking time to journal about what that means to you, what these keywords bring to mind, what this artwork evokes in you. This is a wonderful deck for doing journaling based on the artwork as well, because the artwork is very evocative. and deep. There's a lot of depth here in these cards, and I think that there's a lot that can be uncovered with just pulling a single card and really diving into what's going on in the card and what that means to you personally. So again, that is a look at the Earth, Moon, and Shadow Oracle. I will have links for everything I've talked about here in the description box below for you, as well as a coupon code for this deck, which is good through the end of November 2022. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you enjoyed this look at the Earth, Moon, and Shadow Oracle, and I look forward to sharing with you again soon.